Hello everyone. Now we are going to start our lectures in dermat or skin, whatever you say. Now in this series of lectures, we'll like to cover all the important aspects relevant to you, and we'll also discuss the important MCQs. We'll also discuss the MCQs which have come recently in NEET and AIIMS exam, right? So we start our lecture. In the first lecture, what we'll cover, we'll talk about the basics of dermatology. In basics or the introduction chapter, what we are going to cover? We are going to cover the structure and function of the skin, and we are going to cover the diagnosis of skin disease. Diagnosis of skin disease, where you should be very familiar with certain nomenclatures, you should be familiar with certain techniques that we use to reach to a diagnosis, right? So let's start with the structure and the function of the skin. So you can see the structure of the skin. It's composed of epidermis, dermis and subcutaneous layer. So skin is composed of, what are the layers of the skin? Epidermis, dermis and subcutaneous layer. Subcutaneous layer is also known as hypodermis, and dermis is divided into two parts: papillary dermis, the upper portion, and the lower portion is known as reticular dermis. And apart from this epidermis, dermis and subcutaneous layer, what skin contains? It also contains appendages. You can see this pilosebaceous units, you can see these eccrine glands, you can see these blood vessels as well. So we start with the structure of the skin. As I told you, the structure of the skin, the layers of the skin are epidermis, dermis and subcutaneous layer. So let us start with epidermis. So what are the things one should know about epidermis? So what are the layers of the epidermis? The lowermost layer of the epidermis is known as stratum basilae. Now this stratum basilae is a single layer, and it is composed of columnar or cuboidal cell. It's a single layer composed of columnar or cuboidal cell. And one more thing, also remember that the stratum basilae is the actively dividing layer of epidermis. It's the actively dividing layer of the epidermis. Right. So this is about stratum basilae. The next layer, above that we have stratum spinosum. In stratum spinosum, it is 8 to 10 layers thick. The cells are polygonal in shape. They are polygonal in shape with a round nuclei. Right. So stratum spinosum is 8 to 10 layers thick. Their cells here are polygonal in shape with a round nuclei. And one more important thing to know, that here stratum spinosum, the cells here, they are attached to each other by intercellular cementing substance. Now this intercellular cementing substance is also known as desmosomes. Now what is the importance of this desmosome? You know, there is a disease known as pemphigus. Pemphigus is an autoimmune vesiculobulous disorder, right? Antibodies are formed against self-antigen in any autoimmune disorder. So what happens in pemphigus? Antibodies are formed against an antigen which is present in desmosome. So the location of antigen in pemphigus is desmosome. Now, if the location of the antigen is in desmosome, what happens? Antigen-antibody reaction occur at this point. When that antigen-antibody reaction occurs at this point, what will lead to? It will lead to separation of the keratinocytes. And the separation of these keratinocytes is termed as acantholysis. So, acantholysis means separation of keratinocytes. We'll talk about later in our lecture detail about pemphigus, nothing to worry. Just remember one point, that location of antigen in pemphigus is in desmosomes. Then above that we have stratum granulosum. Now coming to stratum granulosum, stratum granulosum is 2 to 3 layers thick. The cells, why we call it stratum granulosum? Because the cells contains granules, which is known as keratohyaline granule. Now, what is the importance of this keratohyaline granule? That this keratohyaline granule produces profilagrin or filagrin. What is the importance of this filagrin? Filagrin is important for maintaining epidermal homeostasis. So, filagrin is important for maintaining epidermal homeostasis. So, this is the importance of stratum granulosum. Then the uppermost layer is known as stratum corneum. In stratum corneum, the cells are fully keratinized and they do not contain any nuclei. So, they are fully keratinized, they do not contain any nuclei. Suppose there is presence of nucleated cells in the stratum corneum. The presence of nucleated cells in the stratum corneum is termed as, remember this term, parakeratosis. So, parakeratosis means presence of nucleated cells in the stratum corneum. So, these are the layers of the epidermis. What else to know? The thickness of epidermis varies from place to place. The thickness varies from place to place. It is thinnest on the eyelids and it is thickest on palms and soles. So, it is thickest on palms and soles, and there is an extra layer present on palms and soles which is known as stratum lucidum. Where is this stratum lucidum is located? The stratum lucidum is located in between stratum corneum and granulosum. Here you find stratum lucidum, which is present only on palms and soles where epidermis is thickest. So, these are the layers of the epidermis, starting from below: stratum basale, stratum spinosum, stratum granulosum, stratum lucidum and cornea, right. So, these are the layers of the epidermis. What else to know? Few other terminology to know. That the portion of the epidermis which is going here below, going into the dermis, this is known as rete regis. This is known as rete regis, right. Rete regis are the portion of the epidermis going to the dermis, and the portion of the dermis which is going up like this portion, this is known as dermal papilla. This is known as dermal papilla. So, these are the terminology to know. Rete regis is the portion of the epidermis going into dermis, and the portion of the dermis which is going up is known as dermal papilla. One more terminology to know is which is known as Malpighian layer. What is this Malpighian layer? Malpighian layer is composition of both stratum basale plus stratum spinosum. So, stratum spinosum and basale in combination, it's known as Malpighian layers. One more thing to know is Odland bodies. What are these Odland bodies? Odland bodies are secretory organelles. They are secreted by upper spinous layer and stratum granulosum. I repeat, Odland bodies are secretory organelles secreted by upper spinous layer and stratum granulosum. And what is the function of these Odland bodies? Odland bodies help in the skin barrier function. One of the important function of epidermis is barrier function. So, Odland bodies help in the barrier function of the skin or the epidermis. So, these are the layers of the epidermis and these are the terms to know. What else to know about epidermis? The second thing to know about epidermis, what are the cell types present in the epidermis? The first thing, as you know, keratinocytes. 90% of the cells are keratinocytes, right? And it produces keratin. Okay. Then the second important cell is melanocytes. What are the things to know about melanocytes? First thing to know about melanocytes, they are derived from neural crest. So melanocytes are derived from neural crest. Second, they are present in the stratum basal layer. Right, they are present in the stratum basal layer. As you know, the function of melanocytes is production of melanin, which is responsible for skin color. So it produces, it has organelles which is known as melanosomes. And what is the function of melanosomes? Melanosomes synthesizes melanin, store the melanin and transfer the melanin to the keratinocytes. Okay. So if we come here, see that melanocytes are present here in the stratum basal layer and it transfers melanin to keratinocytes. It transfers melanin to keratinocytes. Okay. One important point here to know as far as MCQ is concerned, that there is a term known as one epidermal melanin unit. So what is this one epidermal melanin unit? Is one melanocyte transferring melanin to 36 keratinocytes. The ratio is 1:36. That is known as one epidermal melanin unit. Right. So this is about melanocytes. Then we have Langerhans cells. What are Langerhans cells? Langerhans cells are derived from bone marrow. Right. They are, as you know, antigen presenting cells. They are antigen presenting cells. Their cytoplasm contains a granules which you call Burbeck granules. One MCQ is that what is the shape of this Burbeck granule? The shape of this Burbeck granule is like tennis racket. So the shape of this Burbeck granules is like tennis racket, which is present in Langerhans cells, which are antigen presenting cells. And one more, that is, as you see here, Merkel cells. Merkel cells are mechanoreceptors for fine touch. Okay. So they are mechanoreceptors for fine touch. So these are the cells present in the epidermis. Keratinocytes, majority of the cells, around 90% are keratinocytes which produce keratin. Then we have melanocytes which produces melanin, which is responsible for skin color. We have Langerhans cells which are antigen presenting cells, and we have Merkel cells which are mechanoreceptors for fine touch. So this is all about, or what you should know about, epidermis. Then the next thing we go to is, there is a structure which is present in between epidermis and dermis, which is known as dermoepidermal junction or basement membrane zone. Right. The importance of this basement membrane zone is that it gives mechanical support to epidermis. And the relevance as far as clinical significance is concerned, this particular zone has got important for especially in vesiculobullous disorder. So what are the components? Let's see. The components are hemidesmosomes. This is hemidesmosomes. Then you have lamina lucida, lamina densa, and sublamina densa region or anchoring fibrils. Right. So these are the layers or composition of dermoepidermal junction: hemidesmosomes, lamina lucida, lamina densa, and anchoring fibrils. Hemidesmosomes is the plate which attaches these basal keratinocytes to dermoepidermal junction. These are basal keratinocytes, this dermoepidermal junction, and these hemidesmosome, it binds this basal keratinocytes to the dermoepidermal junction. Right. Let's see what are the clinical significance of this layer. First, I told you that the location of antigen in pemphigus is desmosomes. Now, the location of antigen in bullous pemphigoid is hemidesmosomes. So, the location of antigen in bullous pemphigoid is hemidesmosomes. Now, there is a genetic disorder which is known as epidermolysis bullosa. Epidermolysis bullosa. It's a genetic disorder. There is a genetic defect in the epidermis. So there are different types of epidermolysis bullosa. We have simplex, junctional, and dystrophic. So epidermolysis bullosa is a genetic disorder. There is a genetic defect in the epidermis, and there are different types like simplex, junctional, and dystrophic. Now see here, in simplex variant, the genetic defect is in keratin K5 and keratin 14. In simplex, this is the location of genetic defect. Now the location of genetic defect in junctional is lamina lucida. In lamina lucida, the junctional variant, the genetic defect. And the genetic defect in dystrophic is in this type 7 collagen in anchoring fibrils. In dystrophic variant, you have the defect at anchoring fibrils in the type 7 collagen. All these are important for MCQ purpose. Questions have come on these, right? So this is all about, one should know about dermoepidermal junction, or which is known as basement membrane zone. Now below that, what we have is dermis. The upper part of the dermis, as you know, is known as papillary dermis. The lower part is known as reticular dermis. Now remember one thing here, epidermis is avascular. Dermis is rich in blood vessels. It's rich in blood vessels, so it gives nourishment to the epidermis. It has different vascular plexus, right? And it's rich in blood vessels. That's to understand. The next thing to know about dermis is that